Hi, this is Chen Chen, live from my bedroom and poem room. This is also where I write. You can see some of my clothes. So it's very authentic, this reading. So yeah, welcome. And I thought tonight I'd do something a bit different. I think I'll mostly be reading new work actually, but I'll read a bit from my book too. When I grow up, I want to be a list of further possibilities. And then there'll be some time for questions and such, I guess. So yeah, I think I will start with some new work. Oh wait, I can see who is joining. This is my first time doing this, so I'll just like wait a sec and like let people actually come to this. I'm gonna drink some water. Staying hydrated. Hi, Erin. Thanks for the hearts. Yeah, I've actually been, um, working on some new poems lately. I've been tweeting about it, which is like my thing. If I'm feeling stuck, to just start tweeting about it. Um, and as I'll say more about in just a little bit too, um, some of my recent poem ideas have actually come from tweeting as well. Yeah, poet time. It's great to be on poet time. It's actually really startling when a reading starts on time. I'm like, what is going on? I had a reading like that recently in Chicago, actually, that I was doing with my friend Sam Wine, and we were getting like a last minute bite to eat before the reading. It was in the evening, and then I was like, oh yeah, like we'll have plenty of time because these things usually don't start when they say they do. And then Sam was like, no, we have to get there. And I was like, oh, okay, starting on time. That's cool. That's also cool. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get us started, and I guess more people will filter in. So this first poem is called The School of Rebellion, and I actually have not read this at all. But I just felt like reading it because I was thinking about this poem again, tweaking it a bit. It's totally new, unpublished poem. And I've been doing, writing all these poems that sort of share this title of the school of something. So I have poems like the School of Joy, the School of Logic, one called the School of Australia, I might read later. And this is called the School of Rebellion. See the stars nightly disobeying the night. Watch the pattering rain sketch an anarchist map to the future, then unpattern it away, an anarchist revision. Praise my mother, who wears a plaid hoodie over a polka dot sweater, over a simply brown sweater. Praise your fashion icon, though I doubt she's as fabulous. Never get over your first whiff of banana bread. Taste the sky in the sea and on a Tuesday. Love me on earth and tonight. So that poem. So this next one, as I mentioned a little earlier, is based on this thing that I tweeted recently about Rilke's famous poem, Archaic Torso Apollo, which I was just thinking again about sort of randomly and realizing how gay this poem seems. So I'll read this translation of that poem. It's translated by Stephen Mitchell. And then I'll read this poem that is sort of inspired by it. Just as a refresher, Archaic Torso of Apollo. We cannot know his legendary head, with eyes like ripening fruit, and yet his torso is still suffused with brilliance from inside, like a lamp, in which his gaze, now turned to low, gleams in all its power. Otherwise, the curved breast could not dazzle you so, nor could a smile run through the placid hips and thighs to that dark center where procreation flared. Otherwise, the stone would seem defaced. Beneath a translucent cascade of the shoulders, it would not glisten like a wild beast's fur, would not, from all the borders of itself, burst like a star. For here there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life. Right? So that famous ending, you must change your life. So this is my poem. This is called A Queer Translates Rilke. I long to know his self-described epic head with my eyes closed. But for now, his torso radiates from my screen like a delirious lighthouse, like it is recharging my phone, my hand with all its looking for discreet fun power. On an otherwise blah night, these pinch-worthy nips, a dazzling pink, this winking emoji placed right beside the gold curly path that leads down, down where I can almost smell him. And I can't help but see us, how we would glisten like one great beast, sweat as one giddy star. We would live in a borderless, blahless here for an hour or two. He has to text back. So there's that poem. Yeah. Oh, hi, Sam. Yeah, the Roka poem. I mentioned this to Sam when I was in Chicago. I was tinkering with it when I was there. So I'm just going to read a little bit from my book. I think just 2 poems. This is called Poem in Noisy Mouthfuls. Can't stop eating you, movie-style extra butter microwave popcorn. Can't stop watching you, rented movie about an immigrant family from Lebanon. Can't help but weep seeing the family wave goodbye to relatives in the Beirut airport, tear salt mixing with popcorn salt. Can't hide my mess myself from the friend beside me. Can't answer his question, does it remind you of your family leaving China? I want to say no, it's completely different, which in many ways it is, but really I'm remembering what a writer friend once said to me. All you write about is being gay or Chinese. How I can't get over that, and wonder if it's true, if everything I write is in some way an immigrant narrative or another coming out story. I recall a recent poem featuring fishmongers in Seattle, and that makes me happy. Clearly that one isn't about being gay or Chinese. But then I remember a significant number of Chinese immigrants live in Seattle, and how I found several of the Pike Place fishmongers attractive when I visited. So I guess that poem's about being gay and Chinese too. So I say to my friend, I'm not sure, and keep eating popcorn. Thank God we chose the giant family-sized bag. Can't stop the greasy handfuls, noisy mouthfuls. Can't eat popcorn quietly. Later, during my friend's smoke break, still can't come up with a worthy response to his radical queer critique of homoactivity, monogamy, domesticity, front lawn glory. These middle-class gays, picking out garden gnomes, ignoring all the anti-racist work of decolonization that still needs to be done, don't you think they're lame? I say, yeah, for sure. But think, marriage, house, 1 kid, 2 cats, how long have I wanted that? Could I give that up in the name of being a real queer? Probably can't. And it's like another bad habit I can't give up. Eating junk can't, procrastinating can't, picking scabs can't, being friends with people who challenge my beliefs and life plans can't. Reading and believing in Ayn Rand, though, can. Brief phase as a Christian because I like the cross as an accessory, can. WWJD, can. White heterosexist patriarchy, can. America, can't. Can't Can't help but think, when we get back to the movie, how it was my father's decision to move here, not my mother's, just like the parents on screen. Can't stop replaying my mother's walk onto the plane, carrying me, though I was getting too old for it, holding me, my face pressed into her hair, her neck, as she cried quietly. Can't stop returning to the scene of leaving. Can't stop pausing the scene, thinking I've left something out again, something else my mother told me. Like my grandmother at the airport, how she saw my small body so tied to my mother's body, and still she doubted. She had to say, "You better not lose him." And my mother kept that promise till she couldn't. She lost me in the new country. But doesn't that happen to all parents and their children, one way or another? And don't we need to get lost? Lost, dizzy, stubbly, warm, stumbling, woe. That's what it felt like, 17, kissing a boy for the first time. Can't forget it. Can't forget when my mother found out and said this would never have happened if we hadn't come to this country. But it would have happened every bit as dizzy, lost, back in China. It didn't happen because of America, dirty Americans. It was me, my need. My father said, "You have to change," but I couldn't, can't give you up. Boys and heat, scruff and sweet. Can't get over you, trying to get over what my writer friend said. All you write about is being gay or Chinese. Wish I'd thought to say to him, all you write about is being white or an asshole. Wish I'd said, no, I already write about everything, and everything is salt, noise, struggle, hair, carrying, kisses, leaving, myth, popcorn, mothers, bad habits, questions. And this next poem is just called Nature Poem. The birds insist on pecking the wooded dark. The wooded dark pecks back. It is time to show the universe what you are capable of, says my horoscope, increasingly insistent this month. But what I am capable of is staring at the salt accident on the coffee table and thinking, what sad salt. I admire my horoscope for its conviction. I envy its consistency. Every day there is a fear to be aggressively vaguer about. Earlier today, outside the cabin, the sudden deer were a supreme headache of beauty. Don't they know I'm trying to be alone and at peace? In theory, I'm alone, and really I'm hidden, which is a fine temporary substitute for peace, except I still have email, which is how I receive my horoscope. And even here in the wooded dark, I receive yet another email mistaking me for another Chen. I add this to a folder, which also includes emails sent to my address, but addressed to Chang, Chen, Chung. Once in a Starbucks, the cashier was convinced I was Chad. Once in a Starbucks, the cashier did not quite finish the N on my Chen, and when my tall mocha was ready, they called out for share. I preferred this by far, but began to think the problem was Starbucks. Why can't you see me? Why can't I stop needing you to see me? For someone who looks like you to look at me, even as the coffee accident is happening to my second favorite shirt. In my wooded dark, I try insisting on a supremely tall, never lonely someone. But every kind of someone needs someone else to insist with. I need, if not the you I've memorized and recited and mistaken for the universe, another you. So I'm going to return to some new work. Probably just going to read 2 more poems. This is called I Invite My Parents to a Dinner Party. In the invitation, I tell them for the 17th time, the 4th in writing, that I am gay. In the invitation, I include a picture of my boyfriend and write, you've met him 2 times, but this time you'll ask him things other than, can you pass the whatever? You'll ask him about him. You will enjoy dinner. You will be enjoyable. Please RSVP. They RSVP. They come. They sit at the table and ask my boyfriend the first of the conversation starters I slip them upon arrival. How is work going? I'm like the kid in Home Alone, orchestrating every movement of a proper family, as if a pair of scary yet deeply incompetent burglars is watching from the outside. My boyfriend responds in his chipper way. I pass my father a bowl of fishball soup. So comforting, isn't it? My mother smiles her best, sitting with her son's boyfriend, who is a boy, smile. I smile my hooray for doing a little better smile. Everyone eats soup. Then my mother turns to me, whispers in Mandarin, is he coming with you for Thanksgiving? My good friend is, and she wouldn't like this. I'm like the kid in Home Alone, pulling on the string that makes my cardboard mother more motherly, except she is not cardboard. She is already exceedingly my mother, waiting for my answer. While my father opens up a Boston Globe, when the invitation clearly stated no security blankets. I'm like the kid in Home Alone, except home is my apartment and I'm much older and not alone and not the one who needs to learn, has to. Remind me, what's in that recipe again? My boyfriend says to my mother, as though they have always easily talked, as though no one has told him many times what a non-linear slapstick meets slasher flick meets psychological pit he is now co-starring in. Remind me, he says, to our family. Yeah, so I think I'll just read, these two more. They're both called Winter. This is the first, Winter. I have not eaten fruit since 2015. Ask my disappointed mother. Ask my devastated interior. I live, stale and puffy, like a forgotten marshmallow. Every year, for a week or two, a demon lives inside me. His name is Mucus. I expectorate, attempt to exorcise him, then realize he is much stronger. Older friends take care of me in their well-stocked, well-vacuumed apartment. They offer me bright soups in serene bowls, but all my body craves is another dozen Capri Sun. Yes, the plural of Capri Sun is Capri Sun. I say, there's fruit in this, right? I say, leave me to my untimely end. My friends leave to go see Ben Whishaw cry Britishly. Mucus stays, gets comfy, and says, why don't we use this time to address your fear of / desire for the future? I miss believing that one's demons eventually shut up, or that they don't grow up alongside, with. New Year's resolution, eat one whole orange. Today's resolution, imagine an orange. And this is the last poem that I'll read. It's also called Winter. Which I guess I just was getting sick a lot. I was living in West Texas, doing my PhD program there. So this is probably stemming from that. Winter. Big, smelly bowel movements this blue January morning. From the living room TV, a commercial from our TV company. We're the fastest, the only. Meaning, love us above all others. What makes poop more pungent on certain days? A question for science. From the living room TV, powerful law, bark, order. Meaning, love us or else. Years ago, a teacher said never to use the word poop in a poem. Today, the icy kiss of the toilet seat wakes me up. Today, I poop while my boyfriend shouts from the living room, did you hear that? Meaning the atomic scientists who say we're now 2.5 minutes to midnight. But still, I marvel whenever poop comes out as one true platonic tube. I'm trying to be marvelous and to make my enemies throw up. I mean, if you shower with soap and eat well, maintaining consistent gastrointestinal health, you should be ready for a rim job or other forms of anal play. my boyfriend and I are not platonic. From the TV, a white supremacist cites science, barks two sides to every. I mean, up the throat, out the mouth, the fastest, the only way the powerful will let go of their shit. I mean, my boyfriend and I are not into scat, but if you are, I hope your beloved produces the most fragrant, citrusy shit. I mean, is shit more or less literary than poop? I mean, one winter night I got sick and pooped the bed, and he just got up with me, helped strip the sheets, carry it all to the washer. I kept saying, I'm so sorry, shivering, I'm sorry. But he said, what? Hey, I love you. Okay, so that's the reading. And I guess now, if you have any questions about the poems, about, I don't know, me or something, I'm gonna drink some water. I kind of love doing a reading in this format. It's so comfy in my own space. Oh, hi, Isabel. Just reading your comment. Oh, thank you. Oh, endings. Yeah, that's a good question. Do I have a process when it comes to finding my endings or making them land? It's funny that you should ask that because I've really been struggling lately with how to end poems. And I think part of it is deliberate. I think in that I'm trying to write my way into sort of a knot and a space where I'm really not sure what the next step needs to be to sort of like push myself, beyond what I might initially intend or the direction I think the poem is going in. But that can also be very frustrating. So lately, I will just try out like a dozen different endings. And I know the poet Brenda Shaughnessy has talked about this before. And I think initially, when I read that this was something that she said in an interview or something, this was like a couple years ago, I was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, you're just trying out like a dozen different endings and like seeing what happens. Like, don't you have more of a sort of sense of like where the poem needs to end up? And now I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally what I need to be doing. I need to keep experimenting with that. So I'm not writing the same kind of ending all the time. But I guess I can tell when the ending feels right, when the poem feels whole. It feels like it's made some sort of complete emotional journey or intellectual journey, and it sounds whole. But it can be hard to sort of tell whether that's the case or not. So yeah, I keep trying out different kinds of endings. One that might feel more like this big wrap up and like makes a bigger statement. One that maybe is more abrupt. One that's just an image that's sort of open ended. So then I just sort of see, based on what's happening in the rest of the poem, if that particular kind of ending makes sense, and just keep going from there. Let's see, who am I reading right now? I actually just finished Marie Howe's What the Living Do, which I know is like sort of this contemporary classic, but I didn't get around to it until now. It's a little embarrassing, but I'm really glad that I've finally read it. It's an incredible collection. I actually read Magdalene, her most recent book, first. And then I was like, oh, like why have I not been following, all of Marie Howe's work? So now I'm going back, and I plan on reading her other collections too, her first book and the one that came after What the Living Do. Hi, yeah, West Texas. Yeah, that's where I was going to school. I was at Texas Tech in Lubbock. So it's incredible that you're from there. Writing and revision process like. So I answered some of this when I was talking about endings and how ready a poem feels. But in general, I guess when I can read it out loud and there isn't any line or phrase in it that makes me cringe, that's usually a pretty good indicator that something is, feeling ready. And I guess, also showing it to some of my trusted first readers and getting their perspective on it, that really helps because I can get stuck in my own head too much. Overall writing process. Do I work on multiple pieces simultaneously? Yes, I do. And lately I've been scavenging a lot. So I'll take lines that didn't work in one version of a poem and try them again in a new poem. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it's really fun and just a really great surprise that older language, suddenly has this new context in which to operate. Thank you. My process is intrinsic, or is there a static element of my voice? Tangential. I guess that's just like how I think. I'm a pretty meandering sort of thinker, and pretty like associative. So sometimes also in the revision process, I have to go back and sort of ask myself, is this moving, as well as it could? Are these jumps making a kind of internal sense? They don't have to make, a regular sort of sense. They're just not going to do that anyway. But sometimes it can feel like too much of a jolted sort of move. So I will go back in revision and try to smooth that out a bit if it's feeling too all over the place. As arrived color is also gay. How did you first start to engage with two facets of yourself in your writing? That's a wonderful question. Yeah, it's really tricky, and I think it's different for everybody. So I can only speak to my own experience with writing about those identities. And I think, I just tried a variety of approaches. So, like before this full-length book, I wrote these two chapbooks. And one of them is a lot more straightforward narrative and autobiographical. It's called Set the Garden on Fire. And that was my first chapbook. And so I tried to tackle, my family's history with immigration, coming out to my parents in a very sort of head-on way. And then I wrote this other chapbook called Kissing the Sphinx, which is a lot more surreal and kind of takes place in dream worlds. There's a poem about Sarah Jessica Parker that's like completely fiction. And that became a way for me to explore some of the same themes, in terms of like displacement or growing up as the child of immigrants, or the gay dating scene, and so on, but from a much more surreal perspective, and also using more humor as well. And so then I think those two strands sort of came together in the full-length collection, both the more directly autobiographical vein and the sort of imaginative, invented vein. And so that's like how I tend to think about it these days. It's sort of like playing a game of like two truths and a lie. That you start off with elements that are based on your own experience, but you're also adding things that are imagined or accentuating certain aspects of that experience, and really focusing on those. So yeah, the act of selection as well. Um, yeah, I hope that sort of answers that question. Um, Thank you for asking it. Um, do I have any lines? One of my favorite unhomed lines. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I'll tell you, and maybe by telling you, I will finally figure out one of these poems that I've been working on. And so I've been trying to figure out where these lines might go. Let me try to find a version of it in this Word doc. So I've been working on this other poem called Summer, and I have a bunch that are called that, a bunch that are also called Winter in this new manuscript. And yeah, this is a poem that I just have no idea how it's supposed to end. And I had these lines from this other poem that was actually called Autumn for a while. Let me see. Are they in this poem? Anyway, it's something like, I'll just try to paraphrase it. It's like, because I have like this series of images of like different parts of the body dreaming different dreams. And so then there are these lines that are like, on my toes dream as well. And they like to dream in 20-minute shifts, one after the other, starting with the big toe. And they're working on a long and somewhat smelly manifesto. So something like that. And I've played with different iterations of that. But I haven't found the right home for those yet. Yeah, places to submit work that are supportive of Asian American writers. Yeah, that's a great question. So definitely Hyphen magazine is really great. And the Margins, which is run by Asian American Writers Workshop. Also, Asian American Literary Review is really wonderful. Let's see, what else? Tayo Literary Magazine. I'm sure others will come to mind, but those are a couple just off the top of my head. Yeah, West Texas. Yeah. So thank you for that question. It's sort of funny. I didn't used to really think very consciously about place as an important aspect of my poetry. I grew up in the Northeast, in Massachusetts, and kind of took that for granted. And then moving to West Texas, it was just such, and I was doing graduate school in Syracuse, New York before that. So it was just such a shift in terms of the landscape, certain things culturally, politically as well. So that really affected me. And then I became a lot more conscious about differences in place and the landscape of West Texas, like the flatness and dustiness, particularly in Lubbock, and the wind and dust storms. That started to come into some of my poems. So yeah, definitely in this next manuscript, there are a bunch of poems that are influenced by the landscape there. Yeah, and yeah, just my experience there as well. Yeah, thank you, Gabby. Yeah, that's one of the poems that explicitly mentions Lubbock, Texas. Yeah. Any other questions? Hmm. Oh, my favorite fruit. That is a great question. Probably the mango. It's just so delicious. Yeah, mango. Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad I was able to do this. And yeah, thank you so much to folks at Poets in Pajamas, especially Sam, who organized and invited me to do this. And thank you all for your questions.